A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey Uzama.
And I'm Kayode Okikilu. It's such a special day. Yes, the date says it is Wednesday, February the 18th. But on another level, today is Ash Wednesday. It's also the same day that Ramadan begins. It's a very interesting coming together. As though this is a reminder that, hey, there isn't a lot of issues really to differ on. Be and let be, or as I say, live and let live. So, special day, absolutely. Here's wishing both our Muslim brothers and sisters, and of course Christians, a fruitful season of fasting. So there you go.
Absolutely. So it is time to get back to God in case you left him off somewhere and reflect on your life. That is what this season is really all about. Yeah. So to remind ourselves that we're just strangers in this world, and we're just passing through the world. And so the one who created all of us, or those who believe in deity, whether you're a Christian or a Muslim, because there are people that don't believe in anything at all, it's a reminder of the season that it is time to just pull out a bit and reflect and reconsider some of our actions, especially pre-election year as a nation and all of that. But this is more of your personal life. So we would appreciate and admonish you to do the best you can to make the most of this season. Stay away from all the things you're supposed to stay away from so that you can make the most of this particular season. And we believe that God will heal our land and save our country and make it even better for all of us at the end of the day.
And don't forget that right after the fasting comes the action itself, right? So it shouldn't be just a 30-day thing or 40-day thing. We should actually live out lives that show what we preach, that show what we hear in our worship centers as much as possible. Because, I mean, really, Nigeria is one of the most religious countries. So absolutely observe the observances, and then take all of those learnings into real life, whether you are in government, whether you're in civil service, the private sector, or you're a business owner, wherever you find yourself. Your religion should not end in the worship centers. It should actually extend to wherever it is that you work, school, or what have you. But Jeffrey, speaking of what should extend and what should not extend, what played out yesterday at the National Assembly, goodness me, major talking point, almost like the climax of all of the protests, the back and forth. Well, we now have an electoral act, or at least
it's a bill.
In that sense. It's been repealed and reenacted, the National Assembly, but this didn't come with a lot of drama, which I can tell you is not over just yet. Scenes from Nigeria's Senate yesterday, where the lawmakers eventually voted on the contentious Clause 60 that has to do with electronic transmission, and they had to vote. And eventually, 55 senators voted in favor of no proviso, which is, or rather of a proviso being added to, which is have electronic transmission and what they describe as manual transmission, or in the words of the Senate President, if electronic transmission fails, then you resort to Form EC8A. Well, about 15 of them said no proviso, just electronic transmission, or as the Senate President put it, if electronic transmission stops there, or if it doesn't work rather, then the election stops there. But the lawmaker said, no, we're not children here. That is not what we're saying. But clearly, interesting times we're in. We're counting down to the elections. But the big question is, did it do the right thing? And I think that is the basic right here. Did the Senate do the right thing? At the floor of the House as well, there was a lot of contention. Jeffrey, I almost know your answer to that question, but let me just give you the benefit of a doubt and ask you. It's politics at its finest at the end of the day. We know how the beavers works. So yesterday I had to go back to study the sequence of how you upload results. So there are about 15 steps actually, to the eventual upload. About 14 of them, imputation of all the data you have to capture, the PO signs his name,
and all of the things. But make sure at the end of the day, before it even goes, the document is properly, there's a name I'm trying to look for. There's a particular word that document shows, so that I will read it out here, that people will be able to hear. Confirmed document. That's the last phase before eventual upload of result. But going back to the Senate, and I think I've explained this over and over for those who care to listen. With the BVAS, accreditation is electronic. Voting is manual. Transmission of election result is electronic, that requires internet connectivity. Collation is manual. We've explained this over and over and over again. So it was, for me, it's an unnecessary proviso, because at the end of the exercise, what they are, the people that are agitating for transmission of election results is to the effect that make sure there is no reason why a polling officer, whoever is in charge, does not capture, in the words of INEC, scan or photograph the Form EC8A. Leave internet to do his work later. Now, Kayode, the point here is that for majority of places across Nigeria, significant majority, by INEC's own reports, NCC, INEC, MNO, that's Mobile Network Operators Report, 90+% have some level of connectivity or the other, except otherwise. So we will expect majority, significant majority, that should be able to call an election to a large extent to be ready with electronic transmission. And then for the places that don't have technology, I was trying to calculate the distance between some, let's say, ward collation centers or local government headquarters and some communities. Some communities are as far as 10 hours, 8 hours. So we can give that law. We don't expect all the results to come at the very same time. So, as a matter of fact, that's why you already know my answer, that I do not agree with the Senate, but this is what they have decided. I do not agree with the House of Reps. That's why the opposition were arguing about it. So what is left now? So this is what has played out. The majority have had their way. And the APC, the ruling party, the president, and his party have decided that, look, we must have a proviso. And I was processing this guy the other day. But they cannot, as politicians, leave their flanks open. Look at what happened in 2015. Smart card readers was a game changer, and that took Jonathan out. So these guys, they don't want to take chances. Now, whether they're going to use it to rig election or not, you can leave that to your imagination. But I'm saying politics at its finest, so majority had their way. So what is left for the opposition? Just make sure that in all the polling units, you have your agent as much as possible. Any political party that doesn't have polling units in all the agents in all the polling units, I don't know what you will be doing in this election as far as the presidential election is concerned. But more importantly for me, Kayode, is what the citizens have to do. Please, when you go to the polls in 2027, as we say, nothing will happen in 2027 that has not happened in 2023. When you go to the polls and you cast your ballots and everything is sorted, counted, results announced, everybody signs, please. It is criminal. It is a criminal offense, let me repeat it, by law, to allow the polling officer to leave that polling unit without taking snapshots or scanning or photographing or capturing, whatever word is convenient for you, of that Form EC8A. He or she, who is the polling officer, must capture. If there's internet, there's no internet, it's inconsequential. Make sure it is captured so that the places there's no internet, when it goes to where there's internet, it uploads. Where there is internet, it automatically goes to IREF. Because if you leave it for them to take that Form EC8A out of that place, forget about that polling unit. A lot of shenanigans will happen. So that is the responsibility of citizens. That's what you're left to do right now. As far as if the president eventually signs this act, this bill into law, and says he stands by the position of the Senate, which I believe he's going to stand by the position of the Senate anyway. So, Kayode, I did something yesterday. Let me check my phone to be sure my answers are accurate. So when I saw what happened, I sent a message to my own senator, and I asked him, let me read what I said. I said, good evening, distinguished. Trust this finds you well and Happy New Year. Please, were you at plenary today during the vote for or against the proviso of Clause 63 of the Electoral Act amendment? Please, how did you vote? Because I didn't see all of them. For or against? acting as your constituents, one regard. Because if you say he voted for the provisor to be there, he knows he doesn't have my vote. That is, if I'm voting at my vote. So, for the senators that you're not happy with, that voted
Did you
for...
respond?
No, that's why I read it. I say he hasn't responded. Yeah, he has seen
Is your senator APC or PDP?
He's APC now.
He's APC?
Yeah, my senator is APC, yeah.
Do you expect him to say he voted against?
He should be bold enough to stand by his decision. He's an adult.
We know the APC is majority in the Senate.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what the Senate president
I don't want to
said.
make it, because they were not all there. They are 109, so there were just about 70. So I can't say I saw everybody.
Benefit of a doubt.
Yes, and I don't think it's because the new ones is the first time, so maybe it's at the back. So I don't want to make assumption that, oh, he voted or he didn't vote. No, I don't want to do that. That would be very unfair to him. So out of 109, 70, about 70 by that result we saw
55,
15 voted, so 70. So first I have to establish that he was at plenary before I can now ask him how he voted. And as soon as he tells me I voted for provisor, I said, trust me, you don't have my vote. It's as simple as that. We should be bold enough to make our decision. So if the people that support him should also go out and vote for him and say they agree with him. That's what democracy is all about. So go and talk to your senator. It's as simple as that.
I think it's simple. The game is the game. As much as a lot of people may not want to hear this, right? Majority will always
have their way.
They will have the day. In some sense, they'll have their way, they'll have the day.
Unfortunately.
The minority may have their say, should have their say. That's how democracy works. And that's why the next election cycle is very important. But then the argument, again, and we'll talk about this a lot on the show today, is for people who have worked on the field, who have been to the field, having to deal with connection, equipment, and the rest. And not just for election, for various things. If you've had to go to rural areas and you need to upload something, I mean, a lot of people know when they're trying to register, do their driver's license and all of that, and they tell you that the network is off. Or it could be even the what's it called now? The NIN, right? The National Identification Number, and they tell you for a few hours network is off. So that argument is also there, that maybe the Senate is thinking, what if that happens on election day? But again, we know that whatever they say, there is very low trust between the people and those in government. So even if what you're trying to do is right, just let's assume they're trying to do the right thing, it comes across as something is off here. And I think that is where the issue is fundamentally. And I should say, as we've said time and again, this is not the only provision that has been tweaked in the Electoral Act. The timing of elections has also been tweaked. A lot more things have been tweaked, which we'll talk about, right? But we understand that electronic transmission of results is what a lot of people are concerned about.
So at the end of the day, I try to sequence how the BVAS works, because all of these arguments we're having is how does the BVAS work? The BVAS internet connectivity requirement is just about 1%. The remaining 99 has nothing to do with internet connectivity. And collation is still physical. So when we go to the collation center and you have your result, I have my result, and there's a discrepancy, maybe a number of accredited voters issues, number of voters entered, we'll look, and if the result is already uploaded, which is going to be, let me repeat myself again, that over 80 to maybe more percent of the votes of the centers in Nigeria will have this electronic result transmitted electronically. So if you're one of those majority centers, we can actually go to the BVAS and say, at least we'll look at this. All of us have the same copy of the document, but let's defer to maybe something that happened between the polling center or polling unit to the ward collation, because they rewrite result at the ward collation center. They change result and all of those things. So that is why I stand with those, as for me, as just for technical reasons, 99% of offline activity, 1% of internet connectivity. Confirm that document. If you're going for any election, whether it's Osun, Ekiti, general election, do not allow the polling officer leave without capturing that EC8A. Don't hear it is unacceptable to say there's no network. It doesn't work like that. BVAS will capture it. When there's network, it will be done. It's as simple as that. Because what can we do? The guys have done what they are doing in terms of politicking. You just have to keep going as a country.
Straight and simple. So that is our own proviso, literally. Those are our own
yes, we advise everybody.
layers.
Yes.
Ensure
political parties have your agents.
Ensure you have your agent.
Pay them well.
Very important, right?
Yes.
Because eventually we've seen them flip.
So let's lay it bare, Kayode. Pay them well, because what happens sometimes at the collation center is that at that collation center, sometimes maybe you pay your guy, your polling agent, 50K. Let's say you pay him 20K in that polling, and then the boys who have money say, forget, let me give you like 150K, and all they have to do is, if the accredited voters on the beaver shows 500, they can say, look, we lost this election, but we can work around it, and they change everything. Say, okay, the boy with the big money can say, let me get 350. The remaining party can share 150. At that point, because nothing happened at the polling unit level that was possible at the collation center, it happens. We are in all the rooms as journalists, so we know these things. So as soon as you miss that opportunity to make sure that guy or that lady snaps, photographs, scans that from EC8A, forget about that election.
We're not forgetting about this conversation. Definitely, it's a whole lineup on the show today. So stay with us. All of the protests, what happened on the inside, what is going to happen moving forward. We have that for you. But we'll take a quick break now. When we return, how are the dailies reporting the big stories? Mr. Ayo Akeria joins us, so stay with us.